Negative self-talk is one of the most common things almost every human being deals with, and yet most of us have no idea how to handle it. We try to push it away. We try to replace it with something positive. We try to just be stronger. But here is the thing that nobody really tells you. The harder you fight against your own thoughts, the louder they tend to get. It is like trying to hold a ball underwater. You can do it for a while, but eventually it shoots right back up, sometimes even harder than before. And that is exactly what happens inside your mind when you try to force your negative thoughts to go away. They come back stronger, they come back louder, and you end up more tired than when you started. So what do we usually do? We swing back and forth. One day we are beating ourselves up, telling ourselves we are not good enough, not smart enough, not smart enough. And the next day we try to cover all of that pain with forced positivity. We stand in front of the mirror and say things we do not even believe. We paste quotes on our walls. We try to convince ourselves that everything is fine when deep down we know it is not. And that back and forth, that constant swinging between hating yourself and pretending to love yourself, that is one of the most exhausting things a person can go through. Because neither side brings you real peace. One side hurts you and the other side lies to you. And somewhere in between, you just feel lost. But what if there was a completely different way to handle all of this? What if peace was never about winning the argument inside your head? What if it was never about finding the perfect thought to replace the bad one? What if real peace was actually about stepping out of the argument altogether? That idea might sound strange at first, but stick with me here, because this one shift in understanding has the power to change the way you experience your own mind for the rest of your life. There is an ancient teaching in Buddhism called the middle way, and when most people hear that phrase, they think it means something like just be neutral or do not care too much. But that is not what it means at all. The middle way is not about being emotionally flat. It is not about ignoring your feelings or pretending that nothing matters. The middle way is actually about something much deeper. It is about finding a place inside yourself where you can see your thoughts clearly without being controlled by them. It is about standing in a space where you do not have to push anything away, and you do not have to hold on to anything either. You just let things be what they are. And in that space, something incredible starts to happen. The noise begins to settle. Not because you forced it to stop, but because you stopped adding fuel to the fire. Let me explain this in a way that really makes it click. Imagine your mind is like a courtroom, and inside that courtroom there is always a trial going on. One voice is the prosecutor. It says things like, "You are a failure. You will never be good enough. Look at how far behind you are compared to everyone else." And then there is another voice, the defense attorney. It jumps in and says, "No, no, no, you are amazing. Everything is great. Just think positive. Just believe in yourself." And then there is a judge sitting in the middle trying to figure out which voice is right. And this trial never ends. Every single day, from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, this courtroom drama is playing out inside your head. You're constantly trying to figure out the verdict. Am I good or bad? Am I enough or not enough? Am I winning or losing? And here is the part that changes everything. The middle way does not ask you to pick a side. It does not ask you to agree with the prosecutor or believe the defense attorney. It does not even ask you to be a better judge. The middle way says something radical. It says, leave the courtroom, just walk out. Not because the trial does not matter, but because the trial was never going to give you what you were looking for in the first place. Peace does not come from winning an argument with yourself. Peace comes from realizing that the argument was optional the whole time. Now I know what you might be thinking. That sounds nice in theory, but how do I actually do that? How do I just stop engaging with my own thoughts? And that is a fair question. Because our minds are very, very good at pulling us back into the courtroom. We have spent our entire lives in there. It is familiar. It feels like that is just how thinking works, but it is not the only way. And Buddhist teachings give us some very practical tools to start stepping out of that cycle. One of the most powerful images in Buddhist practice is the idea of watching clouds move across the sky. Think about that for a second. When you look up at the sky and see clouds, you do not panic. You do not try to push them away. You do not grab onto the pretty ones and try to keep them forever. You just watch. They come. They change shape. They move on, and the sky stays exactly the same. It does not matter if the clouds are light and fluffy or dark and heavy. The sky is always open. It is always there. It does not get damaged by the storm. It does not get attached to the sunshine. It just holds everything without effort. Now your awareness, your true self, the deepest part of who you are, that is the sky. And your thoughts, every single one of them, the good ones, the bad ones, the scary ones, the hopeful ones, those are all just clouds. They appear, they shift, they dissolve, and new ones take their place. But the sky never changes. You never change, not at the deepest level. The problem is that most of us do not live as the sky. We live as the clouds. We get so caught up in each thought that we actually believe we are that thought. A thought says, "I am not good enough," and we say, "Yes, that is true. That is who I am." A thought says, "I am going to fail," and we say, "Yes, that is definitely going to happen." We climb inside the cloud and suddenly we cannot see anything else. We forget that the sky even exists. The practice here is incredibly simple, but do not let the simplicity fool you. It is also one of the most transformative things you can do. When a thought arises, instead of immediately believing it or fighting it, just notice it. Just observe it. You can even give it a gentle label. Oh, that is worry. Oh, that is comparison. Oh, that is self-criticism. That is all you have to do. You do not have to analyze it. You do not have to decide if it is true or false. You do not have to fix it. You just see it for what it is, a passing cloud. And here is something really interesting. Modern neuroscience actually backs this up. Researchers have found that when you label a thought or an emotion, when you simply name what is happening inside you, it activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for regulation and calm thinking. At the same time, it reduces activity in the amygdala, the part of the brain that triggers fear and emotional reactivity. So just by naming what you are experiencing, you are literally changing the chemistry of your brain. You are creating distance between the experience and your reaction to it, and in that distance, freedom lives. Now let us go even deeper, because the inner critic does not just throw random thoughts at you, it tells stories. And that is what makes it so convincing. A single thought like "I messed up" does not just stay as a single thought. Your mind grabs it and starts building an entire movie around it. Suddenly, you are remembering every time you have ever messed up. You are imagining how people must see you. You are predicting a future where you keep failing over and over again. And before you know it, one small thought has become this massive heavy weight sitting on your chest. You feel anxious. You feel hopeless. And you think, this is just who I am. But Buddhist wisdom teaches us something that can completely shift this experience. It teaches us to separate the sensation from the story. Here is what that means. Before the story starts, before the mind begins building its movie, there is usually just a raw feeling in the body. Maybe it is a tightness in your chest. Maybe it is a knot in your stomach. Maybe it is a heaviness behind your eyes. That is the actual experience. That is what is real. Everything the mind adds on top of that, the narrative about how you are a failure, how things will never get better, how you are falling behind, all of that is the story. And the story is not reality. The story is interpretation. The story is the mind trying to make sense of a sensation, and almost always making it worse. So what do? Instead of getting lost in the story, come back to the body. Feel the sensation directly. Do not try to make it go away. Do not try to understand why it is there. Just let it be there. Breathe with it. Sit with it. Hold it the way you would hold something fragile. not with force but with gentleness, and something amazing starts to happen. The sensation begins to soften, not because you fixed it, but because you stopped resisting it. You stopped pouring fuel on it. You stopped turning a small flame into a forest fire. This is where the middle way becomes deeply personal. You are not rejecting the thought. You are not saying this feeling is wrong or bad. And you are not agreeing with it either. You are not saying, yes, I am a failure. You are doing something far more powerful than either of those things. You are simply being present with what is. You are allowing yourself to experience the moment without needing to control it. And in that allowing, something dissolves. The story loses its grip. The critic loses its authority, not because you fought it and won, but because you stopped treating it like it had power over you in the first place. And here is the beautiful thing. This practice does not have to live only on a meditation cushion or in some quiet room. It can go with you everywhere. It can be with you while you are scrolling through your phone and that familiar pang of comparison hits you. You see someone else's success and your mind immediately says, "Why am I not there yet?" In that moment, instead of spiraling, you can pause. You can notice the thought. You can feel the sensation, and you can let it pass. You do not have to delete the app. You do not have to force yourself to feel happy for the other person. You just have to notice and let it move through you like a cloud. It can be with you at work when the pressure builds and the deadlines feel impossible, and that old voice starts whispering, "You cannot handle this, you are going to fall apart." Instead of white-knuckling through it or pretending you are fine, you take one conscious breath. You feel your feet on the ground. You notice the thought, and you come back to the present task, not with force, but with quiet clarity. It can be with you in your relationships when someone says something that triggers an old wound, and the inner critic swoops in telling you that you are too sensitive or too much or not enough. Instead of shutting down or lashing out, you pause, you observe, you hold the feeling with compassion, and you respond from a place of awareness instead of reacting from a place of pain. These are not big dramatic changes. They are tiny shifts, but tiny shifts repeated over days and weeks and months create a completely different life, because what you are really doing is training your mind to relate to itself differently. You are teaching yourself that thoughts are not commands, emotions are not emergencies, and the voice in your head is not the truth. It is just one voice among many, and you get to choose how much attention you give it. Over time, something remarkable begins to happen. The spaces between your thoughts start to grow. You will be going about your day and suddenly notice a moment of quiet, not because the world got quieter, but because your mind did. And in that quiet, there is a peace that does not depend on anything external. It does not depend on things going well. It does not depend on people approving of you. It does not depend on you achieving some future goal. It is just there. Underneath all the noise, it was always there. You just could not hear it because the courtroom was too loud. Buddhist teachings call this stillness not emptiness, but clarity. It is not the absence of experience, it is the presence of clear seeing. When you are still in this way, you do not stop feeling. You actually feel more deeply, but you feel without being overwhelmed. You see without being blinded. You experience life directly without the constant filter of judgment and commentary. And that is when life starts to feel different. Not because the circumstances changed, but because you changed the way you are meeting them. Let me also say this because I think it is important. This path is not about perfection. You are not going to do this perfectly. There will be days when the inner critic is loud and convincing and you get completely caught up in it. There will be moments when you forget everything you know and spiral right back into the old patterns. And that is okay. That is not failure. That is just being human. The practice is not about never getting lost in your thoughts. The practice is about noticing that you got lost and gently coming back. One breath at a time, one observation at a time, one quiet return to awareness at a time. Every single time you come back, you are strengthening something inside you. You are building a different kind of relationship with your own mind, not one based on control and conflict, but one based on patience, understanding, and compassion. And the more you practice this, the more you realize something that might surprise you. You realize that you were never broken. The thoughts told you that you were. The stories made it seem that way. But underneath all of that noise, underneath all of those layers of judgment and fear and self-doubt, there was always a quiet, steady presence that was completely whole, completely okay, completely at peace. You did not need to fix yourself. You just needed to stop believing every thought that told you that you needed fixing. So if you take one thing from all of this, let it be this. You are not the voice that criticizes you, and you do not need to silence it in order to find peace. The middle way teaches us that thoughts can exist without becoming a war zone. You do not have to fight them. You do not have to run from them. You do not have to build walls against them. You just have to see them clearly. And when you see them clearly, they lose their power. Not because you conquered them, but because you finally understood what they were. Just clouds. Just passing weather. Nothing more. Today, try something small. Just one thing. When you notice a negative thought arise, do not push it away. Do not argue with it. Do not try to replace it with something positive. Just watch it. Notice where you feel it in your body. Give it a gentle name, and then let it go. Let it pass like a cloud drifting across a wide open sky. And then notice what is left. Notice the space. Notice the quiet. Notice the peace that was hiding behind the noise all along. That peace was always yours. You just had to stop fighting long enough to feel it. The moment you stop battling the voice inside your head is the moment you discover the silence that was waiting behind it the whole time. And that silence is not empty. It is full. It is alive. It is you, the real you, the one who was here before the stories started, the one who will be here after the stories end. Rest in that. Trust in that, and let everything else pass. If this message spoke to something inside you, take a moment to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you would like to keep exploring this kind of calm, compassionate wisdom, make sure to like and subscribe to Buddhism Focus for more videos like this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, the quiet you are looking for is not somewhere far away. It is right here. It has always been right here. You just have to stop and notice.